Welcome to the Songwriter Connection, the podcast that delves deep into the art and heart of songwriting. Each week, we gather around the dining room table to uncover the stories behind the songs. We invite you to join us on a journey to the creative minds of the songwriters who shape the melodies of our lives. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Well, Yoda is back here on episode 227.
Back indeed. There you are.
Right. Mark Allen Barnett.
Everywhere I turn, Mark Allen Barnett. There he is.
Yeah. You don't choose music. Music chooses you.
That's right.
That's right.
The Order of the Mab Hat.
Hey, and I was so honored to be in that
right.
group. Yeah. I have the official certificate and everything.
That's right.
Sir Dave. And our guest is too, right?
That's right.
I do. I have one.
Yeah.
I am TV Stevie. TV Stevie.
TV Stevie. Let me tell you about Stephen Clark, our guest today, 40-year veteran of broadcasting. We've got that in common, but I didn't do a lot of TV. You did a lot of TV.
Yeah, most of it was TV. I started off at a little tiny, 50-watt radio station. I think we broadcast to the sandwich shop across the street. So that was in Greeley, Colorado back in the mid-'70s. So I started there and did a couple years in radio and then transitioned into the bright lights and the mess of television.
You went to New York? You worked for
eventually,
CBS?
Yeah. Eventually I was the CBS or WCBS evening anchor, and then I also became a part-time correspondent for CBS News.
Wow.
So that was kind of where I aimed my whole career in that direction, and I hit that spot, and then I realized I had two kids I hadn't seen much of, and so I kind of changed directions and decided to go back and stay in local television, and so I could go coach them at soccer and stuff like that. So
that's great. You ended up in Detroit.
So I ended up retiring out of Detroit after pretty close to 20 years.
I watched your farewell when you were retiring.
Oh, did you? It's on YouTube someplace.
Yeah, it is. It's there. It's pretty incredible.
One? Yeah. Mark says, which retirement? I retire.
It's routinely every couple of years.
Yeah,
Mark, tell them the new concept. It's
retiring up.
Yeah,
he does 40 years in television, and he's a star. And then he retires from that. He gets into serious radio, and he gets more and more stuff and bigger money. Then he decides to retire from that, and he wants to live the life of Jimmy Buffett. And that's exactly what he's doing in Fort Myers.
And I didn't realize that actually pays pretty well, too.
It does. Here we go.
That.
And you get to drive your boat to work.
I get to drive my boat to work. It's great. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm thinking about male escort.
Worked so far.
Why not? You also worked in San Diego for a while, didn't you?
I did 9 years at KGTV, the ABC station in San Diego. Loved San Diego. It is a great town.
I got to visit in February. I finished up my record there, and I fell in love. That's a great town.
It is a great town. Now, I do say that with a caveat that I was there in the mid-'80s through the mid-'90s.
Okay, so that was before Ron Burgundy.
It was actually right during Ron, and I can tell you a story about it. It was Ron Burgundy was actually based on a former anchor at that TV station named Harold Green. Hal Green is Ron Burgundy. You don't believe me? You Google a picture of Harold Green and Ron Burgundy. It is him, and one of the guys I worked with was a consultant on the film.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was out of San Diego, and it was kind of that era. But it was also before San Diego became like little L.A.
Yeah.
We were still, it was a sleepy little Navy town, and it was gorgeous.
I'll bet.
Now, over the years, it's kind of like become a big city, and it's kind of like got all the problems that you have in L.A. and stuff like that, the traffic. Yeah. We used to get to every place in town in 20 minutes.
Yeah, not anymore.
No,
not anymore.
Can't get anywhere.
Did Hal ever say, stay classy, San Diego?
Stay classy, yeah. If he didn't, he should have, because he just looks like he has the mustache, and he used to wear like the velour and like burgundy-colored jackets and stuff on the air and stuff like that. So, he should have said that.
You know, Stephen, looking at your career and everything and reading about you and doing my homework, what's really interesting is that as a news anchor, you tell a story, and you do the same thing when you're writing a song.
Well, that's to me.
You got to be a storyteller.
Oh, they've been opposite sides of the same coin all of my life, and I told people that I got into writing songs. Actually, I probably got into it before I started writing news.
Because music was your thing before you got into journalism, right?
Oh, yeah. I was a jazz saxophone player back in the day. But when I got into journalism, it was kind of like this. I'd started learning to write, and I started saying, hey, I ought to write some music, too. So I started really almost the same time writing news and writing music.
Awesome.
And I find that they're both identical, although these days it's a little different. In my songs, I have to be honest and tell the truth. News writing, not so much these days.
And then the other way around.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Supposed to be. Yeah, it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always been when I write a song, I tell a story almost identically to the way I write a news story.
Really?
And I tell, like, young writers in television, I'd say you find the heart of your story, and then all you got to do is figure out how to write to that and write out of that. Which is exactly what you do in a song. You find the heart of your song, and then you write into that, and then you write out of that.
Yeah, in journalism, we always talked about the lead.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of the same thing. You got to set it up.
Don't bury the lead.
Don't bury
the hook.
Yeah,
don't bury the lead.
You got to hit them hard with that lead. Let them know where you're going, and then you say, okay, now that I know, now you know where we're going, I'm going to say how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And then when we get there, you're going to go, oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember how you set that up.
That's how it was. And that's how a good news story is written, or used to be. And I think that's how a good song should be written, and sometimes is.
The question I wanted to ask you, so you studied music, and you went to school to study music in Colorado. Where did the right turn come to broadcasting?
Oddly enough, I can blame it on a guy in radio.
Really?
I was a journalist or a music major in college, and I think after 1 year of being in the music program, and primarily I was kind of in classical music. I played clarinet and played classical clarinet.
Wow.
And I also loved playing jazz saxophone. I was a bari sax player in the jazz bands at University of Northern Colorado, great school for jazz.
Wow.
Great school for music. But when I was there, there was a little war going on between the two departments. The classical guys wanted me to get out of the jazz because they said it was ruining my embouchure, which is how you hold your mouth on your instrument, things like that. Mm-hmm. And he was giving me, they don't like it because it was too loose. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, the jazz guys are going, hey, whatever, dude. Whatever you want to do. So obviously I went that direction.
Yeah.
And but I was a little disillusioned by the whole idea of this push and pull of music. It wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting one day in my dorm room, and I had a couple roommates who were journalism majors, and they said, hey, we're going to go over to our professor's house for a little party. And I said, well, okay, I guess I'll go to that. Sounds
party?
Party. I'll go if they got free beer or something. Went to this party, and the funny thing is we walked in, and all these journalism students, and I don't want to stereotype too badly, they all had long hair. Mm-hmm. And they were sitting around discussing really weighty, serious journalism matters, which was just a riot. And I was looking for the guy, and I said, well, where's the journalism professor? And he goes, well, he's in the basement. And he was down by himself in the basement, and he looked at us coming down. He said, you guys want a beer? We're going,
At his party?
At his party. He goes, yeah, these guys, I bring them out here so I can get them to stop being so serious. And they just all sit up there being serious. And so we sat down there, and it turned out his brother was a guy named DJ McCoy, who was legendary back in those days in radio.
Okay.
And he had at the time been working in Houston, which is a great radio market.
Oh, yeah.
So he pulled out outtakes tapes, and this guy did voices and stuff like that. And I was cracking up on listening to this tape of his brother, DJ McCoy. And I said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I ended up literally signing up immediately for some radio and communications classes, and I signed up for a journalism class just because I liked the guy.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, eventually the journalism kind of took over. Yeah. But the other funny thing is I ended up working with DJ McCoy at a radio station in Colorado Springs. It all came around, and suddenly I'm going, God, he was my inspiration for getting into it. Now I'm working with a guy.
I love it. There's probably a song in there. That's
probably,
sure. Yeah. You also have a place down in Fort Myers, you were saying. And,
Fort Myers Beach, actually.
Fort Myers Beach, which will probably never be the same, right?
We got hit. It was the hurricane was almost, September 28th. So we're almost exactly on that date of 3 years ago.
Well, in February of 2024, mm-hmm. I have a radio friend that had a house in Cape Coral.
Okay.
And he let us use it. We went down there. I'd never been there.
Mm-hmm.
And we could not believe a year and a half later the damage that was still... And I guess today, it's
3 years. It's 3 years later, and it still looks like that. I can't. I'm stunned. I thought our comeback would be faster.
Yeah.
We got hit by another hurricane called Red Tape, and that has been as destructive as anything that ever hit us back in September of 2022.
Yeah.
It's just so slow to get politicians and people on the same page again about what they're going to build. And Fort Myers Beach is kind of unique in the respect that it was cut off as a town itself because the residents back in those days, 20 years ago, did not want to have a big high-rise community. They wanted a smaller, almost like little beach bar, almost like a Key West-ish feel in Fort Myers Beach.
That is really cool.
I respect it, too, because that would be cool. But unfortunately, economics being what they are, it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
So right now, developers have come in and picked up a lot of the property that was left behind by the hurricane.
Distressed
Because you got to remember, there are families of these little tiny cottages have been in their families for 50 years, and so they're sitting on $1 million worth of property, but they got zero money in the bank, so they can't rebuild. Yeah. So they sell it to developers, and the developers now need to get their money back. So they can't build a little tiny squat little house again. They got to build something big. So that's what's coming, and everybody's fighting it. So we'll get there. It's painful. We'll get there, but it's been a mess.
We went on one of those sunset cruises where they went up to Sanibel.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
And I'd stayed at Sanibel before, beautiful area. But what we couldn't believe in the bay was the boats that were still sunken. You see the masts sticking up.
I know, they're still there.
And the one picture that I can never get out of my mind is the row of shrimp boats just lined up. That they said just floated out to sea. They were grabbing them and pulling them in. And
they floated inland in through the mangroves, and they literally, some of them were 2-3 miles in towards Fort Myers, and sitting there. It took forever to get them back. One of the most emotional moments I had after the hurricane was probably 6 months after the hurricane. And I was at one of the bars, Snug Harbor, looking out over the water towards where the shrimp boats are. And all of a sudden, all these people started applauding. So I'm looking around trying to figure out what they're plotting. The first shrimp boat is now going back out to sea.
Wow.
Since the hurricane, and everybody stands up and applauds because it's such an important industry.
Sure.
Tourism is number one, shrimp number two.
Number two.
Yeah. And so to see them back in action, and it's been slow for them too, but they're back. They're off land, and they're now back in the water, and many of them are fishing again.
That's them shrimping boats going back out.
That's my boat.
What kind of shrimp do you like?
Stephen, you did something amazing for the community down there, and you used your journalism skills to raise money and help bring back the whole music scene there, didn't you?
Well, I hesitate to say I brought it back, but I think
that's
I gave
my
it.
turn.
Okay, I think I kickstarted it. I think I helped kickstart it, and I did this by totally accident because. After the hurricane, people
have to understand that was the entertainment is a big industry.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the few places you can still go and get live music virtually everywhere,
and those musicians make a good living doing that.
Well, yeah, and a lot of them live on the island or around the island, stuff like so. They were doubly hit. They lost their properties or heavily damaged their homes, and now they got no income.
Yeah. And so they're coming right out of COVID. This.
Oh, yeah. It's only 2 years out of COVID this thing happened. I know. Yeah. So what happened was, as I have a fairly large Facebook crowd that I amassed when I was in television. So people would send me these notes, and they say, "Hey, how can I help?" And I'd been dragging crap out of my house for like a month, just wet stuff to the curb and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, I mean, could we get more people to come and drag stuff out of houses?" Yeah, no, we didn't really need that because we're all pretty much by this time we're getting that part done. So I'm saying, well, we don't need a lot of people to come we don't need blankets. That's another thing. People want to send blankets. No, we're in Florida. We don't need blankets. Right. So I'm saying,
Red Cross always sends the donuts, right?
Yeah, the donuts. Yeah, exactly.
Don't need more of those.
So I think what I came up with as an idea, I said, here's they're asking me what they can do, and I'm saying, what can I do personally?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I have a little knowledge of music, and I have a big audience. So I said, why don't I try to see if I can help some of these musicians out? So I'll just do a little GoFundMe, and maybe I can get a few bucks and have a show now and again and pay these musicians some money. So at least I got some money.
That's cool.
So I ended up getting like $38,000 in a couple days.
Oh my goodness!
And it would just start, and people would come up to me and hand me money. And at this time, I'm not playing the bars. I had one bar in Bonita Springs I was playing, but I wasn't playing all the bars on Fort Myers Beach. So I took that money and I started saying, it was the funniest thing when I get these musicians. I got a list of all the musicians through Facebook who played Fort Myers Beach the season before. And I said, okay, these are the people I'm going to target and say, I want to bring them back onto the island, to play.
Right.
So I'd call these guys up and I'd say, hey, I need you to come and do a show. And they go, well, who are you? And I said, I'm just a guy who wants you to do a show. Well, where's the show going to be? There are no bars. And I said, I know, we're going to just set up in the intersection over there at the corner where they've cleared up some of the debris away. So, well, who's going to be there? And I said, I don't know. So, well, what if nobody shows up? And I said, well, I'm going to pay you really well, so it really doesn't matter. If nobody shows up, you're going to still make a good, salary just to play a show. Right. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I got my first taker, who her name is D-Rocks, who, by the way, just happens to be in Nashville this week.
Awesome.
But D-Rocks said, I'll do that. It'll be fine. So she pulled her van up and pulled out a little powered, unit and set up and started playing. We had 150 people drag lawn chairs out.
Oh, my God.
To start watching the show. And, man, did they tip.
Oh, wow.
So she ended up making a fortune because I overpaid her, and then they tipped her. And I said, we're really on to something. So musicians started lining up to say, I'll do one of those shows. So we had no bars, nothing like that. We just set up wherever we could find a couple feet and set up, and people would show up.
Pop-up
I called it the soundtrack of our comeback because we were
Soundtrack of our comeback.
We were, because I'm in radio and that's what you do.
That's awesome.
So it was cool because we needed as residents of the island, we needed the break too, and the musicians needed the money. So then I got a call from one of the bars who the first one to reopen after the storm. Wahoo Willie's was the bar, and the guy calls me. He says, "Hey, I hear you're paying musicians." And I'm going, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, we got musicians playing here, but we can't pay them because we don't have the income yet. They're playing for tips." And I said, "Well, why don't I go ahead and pay your musicians to play there? Because at least I got a place we can do it."
There you go.
So pretty soon I was paying for 4 different bars. I was paying their musicians to play. And people started coming back. And the cool thing is I was overpaying them. So when they finally got the ability to start paying their musicians, the musicians all going, "Clark's paying us more than you are." So I think I brought this to pay level up a little bit,
I think you probably did, yeah.
So rising tide lifts all boats.
It was it was very heartwarming for me to see it work that way. And then what I do is, because I like playing, I'd just have a couple shows. And I'd go out in the parking lot again, and I'd do a show and say every bit of the tips goes to this fund. And man, I was making thousands of bucks a night playing these shows, just raising tips to pay more musicians more money.
That's so amazing.
And so eventually, when things kind of got back on their feet, the bar owner started saying, "Well, are you interested in playing some shows here? Because when you play, you got a pretty big Facebook audience, and a lot of people show up." And I said, "Well, when everybody's back playing again, and when the music's back, yeah, I'll be happy to." And now I can't leave. They won't leave me alone.
Tell them about getting recognized in Home Depot during COVID.
Retiring up, right?
Retiring, yeah. So what Mark's talking about, I was at Home Depot as it was during the COVID time still.
Okay.
And I'm wearing a mask, and just to show you how many people from Detroit, where I retired out of, are from. I'm walking through Detroit with the mask on, and some guy stops me and he goes, "You're Stephen Clark." And I'm looking, how do you know? I can't recognize me. He said, "I heard you say something in the aisle over."
Your voice.
The voice gave me away. So anyway, it's and I found out that day, I said, there are a lot of people from Michigan
people there.
A lot of people from Wisconsin, a lot of people from Minnesota, Ohio. Yeah. Can I tell you a real quick story about Ohio?
Sure.
Okay, I had a neighbor when I was playing a bar. She said, "You need to learn Sloopy, Hang on Sloopy."
Right.
Because that's the Ohio State song.
Yeah.
So I went out and I learned the song, and I came back and I played the song, and everybody from Ohio goes crazy doing the OHIO thing like that.
Right.
It occurred to me after I played the chorus one time, nobody in Ohio knows any of the verses.
No, we don't. Hey, Stephen, it takes 2 people to spell a state, right?
Ohio.
Right. So.
And people say you can't spell in Ohio. I said, there you are. So I now play the song, but I never play the verses because nobody from Ohio knows the verses.
Not a lot of people know this, but the original song was "Hang On Snoopy." We didn't know how to spell that, so it became Snoopy. And so, a little trivia for you.
Well, it's a little like the what was the other song that nobody knew the road? It's God,
look at that.
I was just thinking
one of those little bubblegum Ohio songs.
Louie Louie.
Louie Louie.
Which the singer did. And here's another one. I hate to get off this, but it was the Inagata Davida.
Does that actually have words?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. And people will always ask, he's doing songwriters. There's always somebody who say, "Okay, Mr. Hit Songwriter, what's the meaning of Inagata Davida?" I said, it means that the lead singer and 4 bottles of Jack Daniels and 2 Quaaludes couldn't say "in the Garden of Eden."
And that's how
that's what it means.
That's what it is.
Exactly right.
Sometimes we overthink it, don't we?
You did one other thing. I'm sorry, I'm his biggest fan, but he did one other thing that I thought was just really, really cool. On the first few days after the hurricane, people did not know what shape their houses were in.
Yeah.
And he threw, and that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been to a lot of disaster areas in your career.
Oh, as a reporter,
war
yeah.
zones.
Yeah.
So didn't that help you get into some of those areas?
Well, here's the first thing that happened. On the day after the hurricane, I was trying to figure out how to get close to my house on the island, and we have 2 bridges on the island. They were both closed, so we could not get on the island. The police were saying, "No, this island's closed. You can't get on the island," or anything like that. I said, "Well, screw that. I'm going. My home's there. I'm going to go see what's up." So I managed to talk a guy into loaning me a boat in Bonita. So I got on this little boat, and a friend of mine was driving the boat because he lived next door. So we're on this little boat going down right through the wreckage. I mean, we're literally dodging houses in the water, trying to get out of this area to get to our house. So I'm rolling my phone and just recording this, and my wife will tell you this. When I videotape something on a phone, it's like I've got a complete camera setup. Yeah. I hold it steady. I'm not one of these guys who goes, oh, look at that. Oh, look at it. No.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like this rock steady shot with a very, very CBS News correspondent narration of what's going on. I posted that video and it got like 2 million hits.
Oh, my.
And that was what started things. That's where my Facebook page went nuts and all this kind of stuff. So that's where I started realizing I had a little, voice. I had a little voice that I could do something about this. So when first I started doing little live shots from the island. After I got on the island, I'm doing little live shots, and people are starting to send me notes. Hey, my house is like 2 blocks over. Can you show me my house? Mm-hmm. So I started going to people's houses, and I would do FaceTime lives with them through their own houses.
Oh, my.
Because they couldn't get on the island. So I'm just I'm walking through their houses doing these things. Yeah. So I've been on so many people's houses that don't even know I've been there.
That's the giving spirit. That's what.
How did your home make out of that?
We did all right. We were on one of the more modern. We were built in 2000, so we're up on the stilts essentially. Although the whole ground floor is closed in, but it's essentially stilts. We lost everything on the bottom floor. As I tell people, though, the good news is, we lost the bottom third of our house, but I found the top third of somebody else's house in my pool. So it all ended up working out fine. But so I can make.
I hate to laugh at that, but oh my god!
It took out the siding that you wanted to replace.
We didn't like our siding, so we got rid of that. Now we did a total remodel, and my wife decided this would be a really boffo time to sit there and do a total remodel on top of the fix up of the house because contractors have nothing to do after a hurricane. So, man, I said we did a 3-year remodel, but it's finally back. Everything's good. We put new siding that's a lot sturdier than the siding we lost. We put new storm doors, everything, new hurricane doors where there weren't even hurricane doors and windows and stuff. Mm-hmm. We figure our house survived 50 mile an hour winds from Ian.
Wow.
So, and now it's better than it was. So I think we're pretty confident the house will do well. We may end up losing, the pool stuff again, but, it's a small price to pay, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot, as a songwriter, live through something like that and not want to write a song.
I did. I wrote my songs.
Yeah. I see that because there's a guitar sitting right
Oh,
there.
you want to hear this one?
And I would love to hear the song. It's called Ian.
Oh, yeah, you got to give me a capo, though, because I can't do this with song.
One on the end of that, the head of that.
Look at that. Yeah. Is that thing is?
That's what that is. Yeah.
So I have this little capo trick I do. It's my fake drop D.
Oh, I love that too. I use that a lot.
Drop E.
Yeah, drop E, I call it. Yeah.
All right, so here we go, Ian. Late September, storm rolled in, 20 feet of water and a freight train wind. People should have left, some folks stayed, water just washed them away. This old town, never gonna be the same. Shake your fist at the sky, but there's no one to blame. Even God can't hear you when that sky turns to lead and the water rises higher than a tall man's head. And you swear the devil's screaming when that hot wind blows and your home disappears in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico. Sun comes up, another beautiful day, except everything is gone, everything has changed. Piles of people's lives dragged into the street like so much trash in the Florida heat. The president flies down, shakes some hands, says some words on TV, then he flies off again. Even God can't hear you when that sky turns to lead and the water rises higher than a tall man's head. And you swear the devil's screaming when that hot wind blows and your home disappears in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico. We'll be back, won't take too long, 'cause we're all half crazy and and Florida strong. Even God can hear you when that sky turns to lead and the water rises higher than a tall man's head. And you swear that devil's screaming when that hot wind blows and your home disappears in the Gulf of Mexico. And your home disappears in the Gulf of Mexico. Where the hell do we go?
That's great.
Yeah, man.
Stephen Clark, our guest on the Songwriter Connection Podcast.
Thank you.
You know, we've often on this podcast talked about the healing power of music, and there you go.
I think everybody, every musician, you asked the question exactly how he did. It says, okay, which one is your Ian song? Because everybody has one. Because that's our channel. That's how we kind of articulate what we're feeling. And on that song, I had a couple images stuck in my head, and one was when I say it rises higher than a tall man's head.
Well, I'm a short guy. I wouldn't have had a chance.
Well, you would have drowned. It was because I'm 6'4", and it was up to my ear.
Wow.
And that's where I was looking on my house. I'm in my house looking at the wall where the water line is, and it's right there at my ear. So that was where that line came from. And then I've got the line about, dragging our stuff out to the curb, just trash in the floor in the heat. So that was there. And then it was just that whole, just the video. I did a video of the thing, and it's got the wind and the things flying and the boats, like the shrimp boats, like, all this stuff. And it just, all these images stuck in my head. And you got to get them out someplace. And it was almost like a relief to finally get them on paper and say, okay, it's out there now.
I encourage you to find that video and watch it.
Well, once again, from a newsman's perspective, writing songs from the newsman perspective. Yep. And if you want a really, really, really good video done very, very well, very inexpensively, you get a guy who has a bunch of Emmys, man. He did one of my videos.
I've done 2 of your videos.
You have done 2 of them.
Yeah, remember we did.
That's
I got to tell this story.
Okay.
Bamatized. Have you ever seen
that video? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you did that.
I did that video.
Wow.
But here's how that went down. We're sitting there at the Frank Brown Film Festival at this little condo we were staying at. And I was staying with Mark.
Yeah.
The songwriter, yeah. Uh-huh. So we're down there, and Mark says, "Hey, we're not doing anything today, are we?" And I'm going, "I don't think so. I think we're doing some stuff tonight." And he says, "Well, let's go shoot a video on that Bamatized." And I'm going, "I didn't bring any gear." And he goes, "You got a phone, don't you?"
That was shot on your phone?
Yeah, I shot the whole thing on this phone right here. Yeah. The whole thing, every frame of that is shot on my iPhone.
It's incredible. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Even Mark Monroe sticking a straw up his nose. No, it was great. And he just, it's so funny. His songwriting is very similar to his reporting. It just goes in that visual furniture thing immediately. Yeah. And he goes to it and he knows. That's what I've always respected about him. He's taken, and same thing with you. You had a love for voice. You had a love for radio stuff.
Well, it's telling a story.
The podcast.
Tell a story.
You tell a story.
And so that's what
radio,
both of you.
20 seconds.
But exactly right. But both of you have songs that are not that long.
Yeah, that's true.
That's I'll take responsibility for that. But
no, that's true. But you're right. You got to write a whole novel in 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everything's shorter nowadays. They're taking 6-7 minutes to write a song, and
yeah. How did you two get together?
NSAI group up in Detroit.
Yeah. Nashville Songwriters Association International.
And that was I hadn't been there that long. No. So it was early 2000. So I've known this guy for 20-some years now.
Wow.
So we can tell. I don't know if we should.
Yeah, I'm going to.
You're going to tell the story. Okay, you're going to tell the story how he ended up meeting me.
I got up there. You know how it was. I'd go in. We do a show. We do stuff. And
you did it for us in Cincinnati.
That's right. Yeah. And so Stephen is inviting me. Doesn't know me. Just inviting me. Hey, man, do you need a place to stay? And I'm saying, well, I'm staying with the guy. The head of the thing. He's a really nice guy, Jim. And so his house is very nice. He had a studio in the basement and everything. But in the bedroom that he had me, his wife had dolls. With doll eyes,
shelves of them.
Shelves of them.
It was literally.
I'm so sorry.
Like you look at a wall. Imagine your wall, and you got like an entire row with a row underneath it, with a row underneath it, all with dolls sitting there staring at you.
I would not sleep.
Well,
1 week.
that was the deal. So we go the next day. We're going to his house to do the actual workshop, and then do a little concert. And I get there, and I look. This house is gorgeous. And it's got a lake right in the back. And I'm going, I kind of said, does that offer still stand?
That was Lake Erie, right?
Yeah, just about.
But it was lake we call Getchagumi.
Yes, right. It's the same. It's the same lake, series of lakes that Bob Seger lives on.
Oh, okay. Well,
And so
we call it Lower Straits. Bob was on Upper. He's still there. On Upper Straits, I'm on Lower Straits, so you can kind of see where we fit in the hierarchy of things. But
Gotcha.
It was a nice lake.
But we became really good friends, and then he just. What both of you are doing is what I am emphasizing to everyone I run across trying to do music these days. Mm-hmm. Quit trying to chase whatever you're trying to chase. Find your niche and expand your niche constantly.
Yep. Constantly.
The future is on us now with AI, and you're going to have to figure out ways to endure. And there will be people who find these niches. If you look at the people who have done niching really, really well, look at Lyle Lovett.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, somebody that just had this natural kind of personality, nobody could put a finger on, didn't really get big radio stuff, but had enormous following.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Buffett. Biggest niche of all.
You talk about retiring up.
There you go. Yeah. So that's what both of you do. That's why I'm glad we're doing this today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, that's for me. It's, it was finding this whole, Buffettish vibe. For me, I love it. And I actually was writing songs long before I was in Florida that are kind of that vibe.
Gotcha.
So now for me, it's cool just to sit there and say, I can write those songs. And I hear guys writing them all the time, but they're not honest.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I hear people saying, well, let's write a song about being down at the beach. Well,
absolutely.
You got to live at the beach before you understand what it's really about.
I think you do. And you've got a great song that I played with you recently in a round in Nashville, and you got a great Buffett song. And we're going to, and I hope you'll share it. But
I'd love to.
I've got to take a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
No, that's true.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection with Dave Linehan. Find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Songwriter Connection Podcast. And find Dave at thedaveconnection.com. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us through the commercials, and we certainly appreciate it because they pay the bills, and we're just happy to have you with us. And I want to tell you that if you're watching it on YouTube, and I know it's just a slide there, but you can listen to it, and I feel you got to be on YouTube, even though we're not a video podcast.
No cameras here?
No cameras here.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a radio guy. I'm radio first. I know. If I looked like you, I'd have cameras set up everywhere. Stay classy, Stephen.
That's right.
Yes. So, but if you're watching there, if you're listening there, please hit the subscribe and the like because it does help us. You just won't believe how much you help us. This week we get 2,500,000 streams and downloads.
Whoa!
For the Songwriter Connection.
Now I'm nervous.
Yeah, we've never expected that. So, and also I want to remind you about on our Spotify playlist. There's the Songwriter Connection, the songs. And if you go to Spotify, you got a Spotify account. Even if you don't, every Wednesday when we publish, I take a few of the songs from the person that was on that week, and I share those songs so you can hear them. Okay? Right. So there you go. Stephen Clark is our guest today. Mark Allen Barnett is with us, our sometime co-host, the guy we call Yoda.
Host you will.
Just about every... I thought I was a songwriter until I met Mark.
The process of Mark Allen Barnett is so cool. And I only wrote one song with you way back when we first met, and that was the first and only song we'd ever written, like 20 years ago together, until last week. Mm-hmm. And we got together with Mark, and then also Mark Monroe.
Yep. Yeah.
So we had the two Marks and me, and his process is amazing because he just pulls out a yellow legal pad, and a big old fat pen, and he says, "Okay, we want to write a song about." Because when I play the bars, I used a phrase where I say, whether you're here, part time, sometime, or all the time, because you're either a part timer where you're like a snowbird, you're here sometimes, you vacation, or you live here all the time.
Right.
Whatever the case is, glad you're here. So Mark says, tell me about those people that come. So I started telling him about who they are. They come from different places. We all come to escape the cold. But I just gave him a list of who these people are that we play for in the bars. And so he says, okay, writes a bunch of stuff down, thinks about it for a second, does some Yoda stuff in his head, pulls out his guitar, which faces the wrong way, by the way.
He's lefty.
He's a lefty. So he starts playing this thing, and it's just like, there it is. That's his process, and that's how you write a song. You don't sit there and say, okay, where's your hook?
No.
Okay, well, that's not how he does. That's how I do it. Where's your hook? How do you get to it? How do you get out of it? Instead, he just sits there and starts writing, and then the hook finds it.
And he listens to what you're talking about.
So that's where the story comes in.
I just wrote with him this week, and we were just talking, and we were throwing out ideas. Mark's listening the whole time. He's not saying a thing.
Oh, yeah.
He's jotting things down. And the beautiful thing is, he hears the chords to the song in his head as he's writing it.
I barely hear the words.
So we get the song all, and then he picks up a guitar and he just starts playing it.
Yeah. So it's a great process. If you haven't experienced a Mark Allen Barnett, if you are a songwriter, then actually you ought to not try to find another Mark Allen. Just find him.
And Mark, they can find you.
They can. MarkAllenBarnett.com. And then I'm all over YouTube.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, people will send me links to things I didn't realize I had done. There's something that I'm talking about. And
the 90s were hell, weren't they?
They were. And people ask, this is a question, write a book. The problem is that when you spend all the time writing a book, by the time you get it done, it's out of date.
Yeah, exactly.
My one book that I did do in 2002, freshman year in Nashville.
I love that book. I read that book.
I had a printer who loved me and used to print all that stuff for free. And I had a burst water pipe that just destroyed it. But at that time, the internet had not even been invented yet. So imagine how hard it is to try and keep. So, that's.
I think Al Gore had invented it.
Well, he
just hadn't publicized it yet.
But I appreciate you guys because that is.
Hey, talk about your tour real quick. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the tour is, I name it because it goes through the past, the present, and the future of the artist or the writer. And I have all kinds of people. A buddy from South Africa that came in, Juan. And
Juan, who listens to this all the time.
All the time.
Juan, we miss you, brother.
Yeah, man.
He's going by John now, for sure.
That's right. He is John. Well, he's got to go change his name all the time. And so, but it just comes, same thing that you guys go through. I did basically, I tried to retire down, and I started as an artist.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I started at 14, and I was an artist. I had actually another career in Birmingham, a rock career. Yeah. Then music changed. Music will change on the dime. It went from kind of in the 80s, it went from the power pop of Loverboy and Journey, and that's what the big group like that. Then all of a sudden it goes to Nirvana, it goes to hip hop, it goes to all that, and it just changed completely. And country was where it looked like it was happening. So I ended up moving up here. I'm an artist up here, but I start getting songs cut. So I gravitate into a writer, and I did that. And then all of the money, because of the internet, all the money is just dissipated all over the place. Yeah. And I had this one thing that I kind of knew how to do. I can kind of sit with almost anyone and determine what some of the next steps that they need to do. And whether it's showing things about writing, what you experienced was basically people like Jimbo Henson, who showed me how to sit there, take all that stuff in, and then say, okay, what about this?
And it's about relationships. It's meeting that guy who's just right there above you that helps kind of pull you up. And that's just not happening these days, I don't think. Everybody's on their phone texting each other.
Yeah, that's it. But the tour is sitting down physically with people and trying, showing them the next few things to do. And that's...
I remember John telling me, you asked him when he came to town from South Africa, is there anybody you want to meet and talk to? And he goes, I heard this Danny Wells on Lenahan's podcast. And you're like, well, he's my buddy. Look, we're going to
Danny Wells just and sat with we did an hour and a half lunch, and Danny gave him so many cool little nuggets from a number one songwriter.
Yeah.
These
days,
and check yes or no.
These days,
and I just was sitting back and I'm going, man, the people that should hear this, from my friends. And that's why, and we all kind of grew up together. Right. Danny's we actually dated the same girl. And so Danny and I go way, way back. But yeah, I get people asking me, is there anybody within reason? You have to say within reason, because a lot of people.
So the whole Garth Brooks thing's off the table?
That's off the table.
Yeah, I guess.
I know you guys knew each other back when he was Garth Brooks. Before
he knew me better than I knew him. And I'll tell you some words not to say. I do what I say, not what I do. I was approached by two guys, and they asked me about a song that I had, and I said, well, I'm hanging on to it for an artist. I'm hanging on to it for myself. Well, that was Bob Doyle and Garth Brooks, and I never even noticed. But I will tell you what, almost 30 years later, I'm at a memorial service for someone I didn't know. I was playing for Jimbo, and I see Garth and Trisha come in, and so end up to the food thing. Wander over, and he says, "Can't blame nobody but me." He remembered the song, and he remembered. But Garth remembers everything. He remembers everything.
I love that song.
All right,
dude. And you're also. I have one more thing, Stephen.
No problem.
He had a cut the first day in Nashville.
Yeah, that's where it hurts.
And you wrote it with Dad.
I did, yeah. Or my dad.
He had one song.
I got an idea for a song.
Oh, God.
That's all right. It's not that hard.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I also want to say about Dave here. Now, Dave finds the more interesting ideas, and he brought me one about a woman who's...
I love that song. I heard you play that.
I thought it was impossible to write, because I tried. But he
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He'll write a song about anything.
The woman's father died, and she starts making a diary to his number, and it ends up being contacted by a guy who got the number, whose daughter died about the same time that her dad did. And so it was.
So he'd get that message and read it, and it just kind of live.
That's exactly right. Know that you're still here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
you're still here. That's great.
Continue on. Here I'm
out there everywhere spinning. Yeah. But back to you, Stephen Clark. Even as an anchor in Detroit, you were writing songs.
Yeah, so I've been in the songwriting business. I really started seriously writing in San Diego. It was the first place I really seriously got involved, and I started coming to Nashville and hanging out, and I'd spend my week vacation here and leave my wife and 2 kids behind and just come out here to Nashville. So I started in San Diego, and that carried through. But when I went to New York, my news director said, well, I'm not sure we want a country music singer as our anchor, so if you can just not, do the public things with the singing that you do in San Diego, that would be nice. So I didn't do any. But the funny thing is, because in New York, people, not into country music, which was weird because I was there when Garth played Central Park, and I fought so hard for them to cover that story, and they're going, oh, come on, nobody's going to go to that show. And finally, like 2 days before the show, and the people had started arriving, they came back to me and says, you want to do that story about Garth? So I actually did an interview with Victoria Shaw, if you know the name. Because she opened the show for him, and she was from New York and from Nashville, and she's a huge producer here in town now. So I did an interview with Victoria about opening for Garth in Central Park, and nobody, except for me, I said, there could be millions of people here. And
there is.
And the New Yorkers in my office are going, nobody's going to come out to watch him. It was like the biggest mess. Yeah. There were so many people in town.
Unreal.
So anyway, so I didn't do any of that kind of thing in New York because they didn't think it was the right image. But then I got to San Diego. And my news director there was fine, which was weird because he was the same news director I had in New York. He said, if you want to do the music thing, it's okay. We're in Michigan. You're okay. Yeah. And so I started doing it there, and it just accelerated. And I started. I played 1 million shows in Michigan, but I never did covers. I never ever did a cover in my life. I did only originals, and I do benefit shows right and left, and raise money for 1 million causes. And it wasn't until COVID that I had to start learning covers because I decided I wanted to come to Florida and play beach bars. So now
there you go.
I got like 10,000 covers now.
Yeah. Do you? Fantastic.
I don't know how many, but it seems like it.
There was another thing, fundraiser, I wanted to mention that you did in Detroit with building a park.
Oh, the playground. Yeah.
The playground. Yeah.
I'm glad and I'll right off the top, I'll give you this scarlettsmile.org. That's 1 T in Scarlet. So scarlettsmile.org.
Okay.
Scarlett is my granddaughter, and she was born with a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, which is essentially she's a brilliant child. She's smart. She's articulate. She just has no muscles because of this condition. So we, as her grandparents, my wife and I just kind of made a promise to her long ago that we're going to make sure you have every advantage that we can give you. Whatever we can do to help, we're going to help. So we took her to a park when she was about 3 years old. It was a playground. It advertises as barrier-free. This is going to be a great experience for her because she could already drive her own wheelchair. So she was driving her wheelchair around at age 3.
Wow.
And we took her to this park, and sure enough, as advertised, they had a great section with these. She could roll her wheelchair onto a swing. She could go onto a little merry-go-round. But the problem was she turned around and realized that park was over here, and the other park where all the other kids were was over there. And that was not accessible.
Oh.
So we said, my wife and I looked at each other and said, we can do better than this, so maybe we'll just see, maybe we can build a little playground and see how it works out. This thing got out of control. We ended up just, it kept getting bigger and bigger, and we ended up building a $1.5 million playground.
Wow.
Which we then donated back to the city. They gave us the property to put it on, and then we donated the whole thing to them. So it's now their park, but it's called Scarlett's Playground in awesome. Commerce, Michigan, but it is one of the largest ramped playgrounds in America.
Wow.
So a kid in a wheelchair can get on this thing and go up 2 complete floors, way to the top of this thing through massive amounts of ramping. And other kids can run up the ramps and they can jump on slides and poles and swings. And then we got all this other stuff that she can use. And the whole ground is a rubberized surface, so wheelchairs can easily navigate it.
Isn't that great?
And it has become a huge popular park. I was in Michigan picking up Scarlett a couple weeks ago, and we went to the park and it was just packed. I mean, just packed. And maybe 2 kids there really had a need of that kind of park. And it was there for them. And the rest of the kids had no clue they were being included in an all-inclusive park. To them, it's just a great park. So that was a great heartwarming thing for us to sit there and say we have done something. Also, that we wanted to expand the horizons of these other kids. Now they don't look at our granddaughter differently. She's not the kid in the wheelchair. She is the kid who can enjoy the same playground they can. I mean, it's just like the wheelchair disappears when they're all playing together.
Well, that's so awesome. You've got to be so proud.
Oh, yeah, that was...
She's in town right now.
Yeah, we brought her to Nashville here for... enjoy, part of the break here for him. And it's been so funny just to see her, going down Broadway in her wheelchair.
Oh, you gotta love it. How old is she now?
She is 12 going on 27.
God bless you, Scarlett.
I always tell people she doesn't have a lot of muscles, but the one in her mouth works absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, well, I think that gene's been passed down. Don't you think? So you go from, like I said, I watched your retirement video on YouTube, and it touched me. And you go to Florida, and you go from TV anchor to beach bum troubadour.
That's what I am. I have the tattoo to prove it.
You have the tattoo to prove it, and you just love it down there. And I know you're heading back. I'll spend the season. I mean, we have this is the first year I've done like the snowbird thing. Good. Where we decided to come to Nashville and spend the summer in Nashville, and then the season is basically from mid-September through Easter. So I'll play bars. I'll go down there and I'll play 3 or 4 or 5 bars. I'll do 4 or 5 shows a week, and people can look for you.
Yep,
and a lot of people that grew up with you come down there too, right?
Well, here's my favorite thing that happens to me. Okay, so my audience is of an age, as they say politely. So they're people my age and perhaps older, and many of these people are of a gendered opposite of mine. Mm-hmm. So I've got a lot of old ladies that listen, and these are wonderful, wonderful people, and we have great relationships online, on Facebook and stuff like that. But every once in a while, I get a very attractive younger woman will come up to me. This happened to me at a gig last summer. She came up and she said, "Oh, can I get a picture with you?" And I'm thinking, this is great. I mean, here's this beautiful young woman. So I'm sitting there and I've got my arm around her and I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. And she's got her friend about to take the picture. And it's like, okay, stand by. 3, 2. And she says, "My grandmother loves you." Click.
That's it, man.
There's my life right there.
My grandmother loves you.
How Buffett is that?
How Buffett is that?
How Buffett is that?
That is the song I wanted you to do next.
All right.
I'll tell you. Tell us about the writing of this song, and it's so much fun.
Well, this is an absolutely true story, as so many of my stories are. It's a true story. I was driving to work, which is not necessarily momentous, except for I was in my boat driving to work.
Oh, there you go.
Because I was playing a gig across the island. I live on an island. This is just slightly on the mainland. And traffic can be a little challenging during the season. So we had about a 4-hour traffic backup to get from my house 7 miles to this bar, Doc Ford's, that I play on Thursday nights.
Unbelievable. But I believe it.
But by boat, it's 40 minutes. So I can leave out of my backyard on my boat. So I'm driving to work in my boat, and I'm thinking I'm going to a bar where I'm going to play my songs, and I'm going to drink some beer, and I'm going to make some tip money that I'm then going to use to buy gas for my boat. There you go. So I was thinking to myself, wow, that's cool. And I said, no, that's Buffett. So that's where this song came from. I think I had it written pretty much on the trip back that night. 3 days a week, I play my guitar, drink a few beers at this tiki bar. I get here by boat and use my tips for gas. How Buffett is that? I got a blender and a bucket of ice. Been on a bender since Saturday night. Got a head full of rhymes, pocket full of sand. How Buffett is that? Give me a hammock and a couple of palm trees. And a Bahama breeze. Flip-flop tan and a hog's breath hat. Yeah. How How Buffett is that? And I'm living the dream down here by the sea. I may never go back. And I ask you, my friends, how Buffett is that? I'm trying to remember the next verse.
It happens.
I should probably grow up, put on a tie. I can't see living this 9 to 5 while my hair gets thin, my ass gets fat. How Buffett is that? Give me a hammock and a couple of palm trees, Ray-Ban knockoffs and a Bahama breeze, flip-flop tan and a hog's breath hat. How Buffett is that? And I'm living the dream down here by the sea. I may never go back. And I ask you, my friends, how Buffett is that? Now, a friend of mine reminded me, if I'm doing a song about really cool things like that people do that is just so Buffett, he said, you got to do one about a guy who writes a song about a margarita.
Oh, yeah.
And then makes it like $1 zillion. So I did. Grab my guitar and make up a song about losing my flip-flops and losing my salt. Build some hotels and make a boatload of cash. How Buffett is that?
You gotta read some books.
Give me a hammock and a couple of palm trees, Ray-Ban knockoffs and a Bahama breeze, and a flip-flop tan. How Buffett is that? And I'm living the dream down here by the sea. I may never go back. And I ask you, my friend, how Buffett is that?
I gotta have a margarita now. I don't have a margarita's on me. Okay, we'll go for lunch. There we go.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
So, how Buffett is that? So
I don't know. That's pretty darn Buffett.
That's Buffett.
That's pretty Buffett.
Authenticity, reality. That is the best thing.
Preach, Brother Mark.
And that's the thing. That's why these songs work, because he actually lived them, and it's relatable. That's the great thing about relatability in songs, because everybody wants to live that life.
Or everybody drives their boat to work.
Everybody drives their boat.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Never have.
That's a perfect thing.
But the funny thing is how many friends of mine who I played that song for now just when something happened, you guys did it earlier, said, hey, how Buffett was that?
That's right. How was that?
It is. I got to tell you, I've interviewed Buffett a number of times in my career.
Yeah.
The coolest time, which was the truly most Buffett moment ever, I'm in Havana, Cuba, in 1999 for CBS News because the Pope is there.
Oh, okay.
So I'm down there covering. By the way, that was the same week that the Monica Lewinsky thing broke.
Oh, well.
So I'm sitting with Brian Williams in a bar in Havana. How's that? How many stories start like
There
that?
you go.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting with Brian Williams in a bar in Havana because already Tom Brokaw and Peter Jennings and Dan Rather have already left to go back to report on Lewinsky. So now we're left behind to report on the Pope. And it's like, we're now the end of the newscast. And we're just sitting there drinking mojitos going, well, here we are. So anyway, I'm walking down the street in Havana, just shooting some video just to get some scenes. And my photographer says, hey, see that guy across the street? And we're looking over there going, yeah. And he goes, isn't that Jimmy Buffett? And I'm going, nah. Yeah. So we walk over, and sure enough, it's Jimmy Buffett by himself walking down the streets of Havana. Nobody knows him there. No, because he's in Havana. I don't think they sell music in Havana. I don't know what it is. So I walk up to him, and I met him a couple times before, and of course he had no idea that he'd met me before. But I said, hey, Jimmy, I would love to do a quick interview with you. And he goes, yeah, sure. So I did an interview on the street of Havana with Jimmy Buffett, just walking down the street. And I said, how Buffett was that?
How Buffett was that?
Right there.
What did you talk about?
Well, I asked him, first of all, why he was there. And he said, well, technically I'm here on a press pass for Rolling Stone magazine.
Oh.
Rolling Stone issued him a press pass so he could go cover the Pope in Havana, just basically from a musician's standpoint. But he says, really, it's because I'm a Catholic. Yeah. He said, so it's a Catholic boy comes to Havana. But really, I did it because I wanted to sail my boat into Havana. He said, that's all I wanted to do. So he's living on his boat in Havana because he got a press pass to come down and cover the Pope because you couldn't get there otherwise. There was just no way to get there otherwise. So it was cool.
It was 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, it was.
It was. See, I have time for one more song. You want to share one more with us?
So I've noticed in all the, where I'm from when I play the bars down there, is we're all there for pretty much the same reason. We're all there drinking our kids' inheritance. Mom and Dad put all of their cash in savings and CDs. Nest egg to leave in their will to my sisters and me. Well, thank you, Mom and Dad. I got a different plan, and my kids will be shocked when they get a look at what's left in the bank. 'Cause I bought me a boat and a house on the coast. True story, sparing no expense. We're flying first class and we're having a blast. They'll wonder where the money went. So here we are in this tiki bar, to it down to our last cent, drinking our kids' inheritance. Well, I'm sure my kids won't like that. And I say tough. Maybe it's time to move out of the basement and get a job. Start living and saving up. In 40 years or so, they can tell their kids it's a family tradition. I'm just doing what your grandpa did. Bought me a boat and a house on the coast, sparing no expense. Flying first class and we're having a blast. Wonder where the money went. So here we are in this tiki bar, to we're down to our last cent, drinking our kids' inheritance. And why should they have all the fun when we did all the work? I sound like my father there. They got a problem with me and their mom, then take it up with her. 'Cause I'm on my boat down on the coast, sparing no expense. And we're flying first class and we're drunk on our ass. We wonder where our money went. Here we are in this tiki bar, till we're down to our last cent, drinking our kids' inheritance. Yeah, everybody together now. We're all drinking our kids' inheritance. Yeah.
How buffet is that, right?
3 chords in the truth, baby. 3 chords.
And like you say, authenticity.
Authenticity,
right?
man.
It is so funny because, I mean, the guilty looks I get from people.
Bad.
You know, people just start, they start going like this, all of a sudden they're looking at each other.
Should we clap? The kids aren't here. Go ahead.
I played that for my daughter, who at the time was like 31, 32 or something like that. And she's sitting on the couch texting somebody, TikToking or whatever they do. She's over there and I'm playing the song and she's kind of like bobbing along like that. And at the end of the song, it's like, oh, cool song, Dad. Wait, what?
That's not what I wanted. That's not the impact.
It was so funny. It cut through somehow. She got it.
Oh, my goodness. Fantastic. Stephen, very good to have you on the podcast. Thanks for taking the time to do it.
It's fun. And you said you got like 7 million listeners?
Yeah. 2.5 million right now.
2.5 million?
And he was the podcast of the year.
I saw that. I saw the award is on the table right there. That's
yeah. You know, I take it with me everywhere I go.
That's like I used to have all my Emmys lined up in my first apartment here in Nashville. I had them all lined up on the top because there's nowhere else to put them. And my wife says, "Don't you think so? It might be a little, presumptuous?"
No. It fit perfect in our round that night. It was just a really nice little centerpiece. So,
we had the bomb blast on Christmas morning here in Nashville. Our apartment was like a block away from that. So every apartment in our building, their windows got blown in. Okay, except ours. Our windows did not get blown in, but we had so much dust dropped from the ceiling that all my trophies were covered in dust. It took me hours.
That's right.
It's a first world problem right there.
That is a first world.
Absolutely. God, and Mark, thank you so much for being on the show. You're welcome anytime. You know that.
Appreciate
it's always great to have you. And Stephen, all the best, man.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, keep beach bumming it. Buff it. Right on, folks.
We hope you enjoyed this intimate glimpse into the world of songwriting and found inspiration in the stories shared by our talented guests. Remember, the magic of music lies not only in the notes and chords, but in the emotions and experiences woven into every lyric. Until next time, keep listening, keep creating, and keep the melodies alive.